Okay, another thing we can do is we can reorder our artboards. So we expect to read left to right, so front, inside, back is what we would be expecting, but indeed the first one is the inside, the second one is the back, and the last one is the front. So reordering them might be helpful. They're done in the order that they were created, so that's the way they get numbered. Double click on the number 2 in this artboard panel that we just opened up. Double click on the number 2 and you'll see that that makes it the active artboard and does a fit to screen. So I'm on artboard 2, which is called back. I can see down here it's number 2 and it's fit to the screen. If I double click on the number 3, I'm over here. This is my active artboard, etc. Double clicking on one brings us back to this main option. If we want to reorder them, I'm going to zoom out on my screen so that they are in the order that we kind of visually see them, left to right. We can drag this front artboard name up until a line appears above the artboard named inside. So wait till you get that blue line. That would put it between the two. The blue line up here drops it up at the top of the stack. So now they are in the order that we actually see them on our board. And again, I'll zoom out. So we go number 1 front, number 2 inside, number 3 back. And if we use our arrow keys to simply go through these artboards, this will make a lot more sense. It's kind of the way that we expect when we navigate using these at the bottom left. We have the next and the next, and we can go back all the way to the beginning, whatever. So now they're in an order that makes a little bit more sense to us. All right. We are done with the properties, the artboard panel. We can close that out. Just know that it's always available to you. I'm just going to switch to a different tool so I don't risk doing anything goofy. I'm also going to get all of my artboards back in the screen. There we go. So rulers and guides. We've talked about this before. We talked about it in Photoshop, but there are rulers that are available on the top and the left. And we're going to learn about aligning and measuring contents using these rulers and guides. We can actually place things based on the rulers and the guides again. So one of the first things that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come over to our properties panel, and we're going to see they have a shortcut for us, rulers and grids. Turn on the ruler, show them, show the grid, show transparency. We just want to turn on our rulers. When we have rulers on, there are 2 different kinds of rulers. There is an artboard ruler, which sets the artboard at the upper left corner of the active artboard. So if I click on this one, there we go. If I move this up, you guys are going to see the 0 right here. That puts that 0 point or the ruler origin at the upper left corner of the active artboard. Global rulers set the ruler origin to the upper left of the first artboard, the one that's at the top of the artboard panel, no matter which one is active. So by default, rulers are set to artboard rulers, which makes sense. When you're working on this artboard, you probably want the 0 point up here at the top of that artboard. All right. So with our rulers on, we're going to learn how to create guides, and those are the things that we can drag out of the rulers that kind of give us a visual guide, help us align objects, and they're non-printing. They're not going to show up in our design, they're just for helping us. All right, as we click in each of these artboards, telling me this is not behaving correctly again. One moment. All right, thank you for holding the phone. We need to switch to our selection tool. And with our rulers showing, so we've already done that, but we had to get out of the artboard tool. So with our selection tool shown, click on each one of these rulers, or each one of these artboards. You can tell there's a little black line around this. That means that's the active artboard. It's hard to tell, but there's a little black line. And notice that the 0 point is above here at the top left. If we click on this artboard to activate it, notice that the 0 point and the 0 point are at this top left corner. And again, if we switch to this artboard, the 0 point came along with it. So again, that's the active artboard, and that's typically the way we want this tool to work. All right. There can only be one active artboard at a time also. If you aren't already, make sure that we can fit one of these artboards in the window, and we're going to go with the one named Front. So I've selected this one, it's number 1. I'm just going to open up my artboard panel again just to confirm that this one over here, number 1, is the front, and that's the one that we want. We are going to drag a ruler, or from the ruler, we're going to drag down, and we're going to stop when we get to the 600 pixel point. It's over here on the ruler. I'm trying not to scroll, but I'm trying to show you where it is. So I'm not seeing a tooltip or any other measurement. I'm just looking at the ruler to my left. And when I get to 600 pixels, I'm going to let go. And that created a guide for us that we can see. So after creating a guide, it is selected. And when it's selected, its color matches the color of the layer. So if we don't have our guide selected, we would click on it. But when it is selected, we should be able to go over to the Properties panel and change our Y value. And I'm not able to select this. Honestly, I did all this earlier and everything worked fine. I'm going to pause again. All right, I had it working and I did an undo so I could show you again. Let's hope it works this time. All right, I am going to start in the ruler, drag down. I'm going to watch the ruler on the left, and when I get to 600, I'm going to let go. And finally, it's working. It is still selected because it is blue, which is the color of the layer that I'm on. They're all in blue, so I can tell that it's selected, and I can also get the transform window over here popping up, and that's what I was looking for before and not seeing for whatever reason. All right, with the guide still selected and it's in blue, we're going to change the Y value. So where it is in the X and Y coordinate, 600 is what I was eyeballing, and I got this lovely decimal, so I was awfully close. But I'm going to change it literally to 600, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to click away from the guide to deselect it. Notice now it went back to that teal color, and that's the color that usually your guides are. Only when they are selected do they become the color of the layer. So that allowed us to get a guide out at a certain point on this one artboard. In our Properties panel, we're going to come back over here, and instead of talking pixels, we would like to talk in terms of inches. So we're going to switch our units to be inches. And notice we now see much different. So what are we at here? 11 inches wide. We are going to do a file save as, and this is through page 149. So if you're saving in this incremental way, 149. And then finally, before we move on, we're going to learn how to edit the ruler origin. So on the horizontal ruler, measurements to the right of 0 are positive, and to the left are negative. And on the vertical ruler, numbers that are below 0 are positive numbers this way, and the other direction are negative. If they're above 0, they're at negative. We can move the ruler origin to start basically wherever we want it to, and that's what we're going to do next. So we need to be able to see this piece for sure, this left artboard. And we're going to go way up into the rulers where they intersect at the top left here, and you see this little area. We're going to actually click and drag on that, and we're going to bring it down to the lower left corner, and then when we let go, that reset our ruler to the 0 point is right here, and the 0 point is right here. So in our coordinates, 0, 0 now gets us to this point instead of this top point. With our selection tool, we're going to move the pointer over the guide and click to select it. So we're going to click to select this bad boy. And then we're going to look at our properties panel. Right now we moved our ruler to the 0, 0 spot, so that changed us into some negative numbers. We want to change our Y point to manually be a negative 1.75 inches and then hit return. All that did was move our guideline to a new spot. We could have dragged it, we could have eyeballed it, but knowing that we wanted it that 1.75 inches, in this case actually above our 0 point, that's negative numbers, that's what we did. So that's where it's positioned. All right, to reset our ruler back up to this top place, we simply double click on this intersection point up here at the top of the rulers. So when we double click on that, I can see my 0 is back to here and here. So that was kind of a corny way of intentionally getting it to go 1.75 inches up from this bottom point. To get it to do that exactly, we reset our origin point to down here and then told the y-axis to be a negative 1.75. You may never do that in real life, but you can. All right, click to deselect so that our guideline goes back to being that bright teal color. And then if you do make guidelines and you want to keep them there and not accidentally bump them around, you can come back over to your property panel and there's an option, click to lock the guides. And we're going to click on that, the little padlock becomes closed, and we have successfully locked that line. We can't select it and bump it around by accident now.